Hey guys, so this weekend is my friend's birthday and I love making all my friends' birthday cakes. So I've decided we are going to be making a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting and a passion fruit curd between the layers because she loves passion fruit. So I'll just be going online and trying to find a good recipe for the curd, but for the cake and the frosting, I'll be making the recipes in Claire Saffitz Dessert Person. I have yet to find a recipe that could beat Ina Garten's Aunt Beatty's chocolate cake. It's just hands down the best one that I've tried, but I have yet to try this recipe, so I figured this is the perfect opportunity. So I hope you'll come along and I hope you enjoy. Thanks. Okay, so first we're gonna start with the frosting, which is considered difficult in her book. I don't even know if I've tried a difficult recipe, so let's see what happens.
So prep all your ingredients before this recipe starts because once it gets moving, it goes really fast. Start by beating 2 eggs and 2 egg yolks in your stand mixer or with a hand mixer. Want to get those light and fluffy so that they have a little dissolving ribbon, about 5 minutes. Then you're going to make a sugar syrup. So this is just sugar and water. Set that aside though. In the meantime, cook down your chocolate that you've roughly chopped. Do this in a double boiler. You want it to be totally melted before all the rest of this starts. Okay, now for the complicated part. You're gonna be cooking your sugar syrup and you want to be doing that while you're beating the eggs. So you want those to get light and fluffy, and you're gonna bring the sugar syrup up to a very exact temperature. Once it gets to 230, you turn off the heat. 238, you start pouring in, like I am now, into the beating eggs. And this is really a trust the process moment. You're gonna stream it in very slowly, and then mine totally deflated. It went totally liquid and soupy. And then you're gonna start adding in some room temp butter. Maybe mine was too cold. Then it went all like clumpy and separated and weird. But you're just gonna have faith, keep beating. And then eventually you're gonna add your vanilla, get that beating in, and you'll see it's starting to get smoother as I'm beating it more, and everything just comes to room temp and the emulsion gets a bit better. Now you're gonna add in your chocolate. So this has been melted, but it can't be hot, but it can't be too cold at the same time. If it's too hot, it melts the butter. If it's too cold, you get flecks of hardened chocolate in it. So this is what mine ended up looking like, nice and smooth, but you will see I have a couple, and you'll see this throughout the video. See those clumps of chocolate that have hardened? That means it was slightly too cold when I added it. All right, guys, and then we had a fiasco of me trying to make a passion fruit curd, which just really didn't turn out. So I'm not gonna make you watch all of this. I'll have some clips of me talking about what happened. The curd went well, but the flavor just really wasn't there.
Just too sweet. I know it's gonna be a sweet cake and sweet frosting, and so I want the curd to cut through it. And passion fruit would normally do that, but I think that this just, it has sugar added. I couldn't find fresh passion fruits, so I think it's just too much sugar. So I tried it. I've added a bunch more passion fruit than I was supposed to. I don't have another fresh lemon. I have this, which is honestly like more sour.
Okay, so the rest is just me trying to find a solution to this. It didn't work. My friend and I checked all the grocery stores for fresh or frozen passion fruit. We couldn't find any, so we just had to pivot away. So we pivoted to some fresh raspberry jam. This is the night before I was prepping that, as well as some coffee, which would go in the cake next morning. So next morning I made the cake. This is same thing, melting down chocolate in my double boiler. Then you're going to add some vanilla extract and heavy whipping cream. Whisk that all together and then set it aside. Meanwhile, beat together room temp butter, your sugar, just classic. Make sure that gets creamy and fluffy. And then you're gonna add in that chocolate that I mentioned. You're gonna alternate that and the dry ingredients till you get this consistency of batter. So I poured this into 3 prepared baking dishes. I went with 6-inch instead of 8. And when they cooked, it went well, but you can see it formed sort of a brownie-like crust on the top, which I wasn't expecting. I later saw in other pictures that it happened to other people, but it definitely was sort of a brownie consistency cake.
Okay, hey guys, so it is time to assemble the cake. Unfortunately, the passion fruit quest did not turn out, which is a bummer because it's the birthday girl's favorite, but we searched multiple grocery stores. We looked for fresh, we looked for frozen, couldn't find it. So we pivoted to a raspberry jam, which is what I made last night. I have pulled my buttercream out of the fridge. It needs to get to room temp before I can use it, just because I don't want it to break up the cake. It is getting warmer, but I'm gonna whip it in my KitchenAid just to get it fluffy again, get it warmed up, and then we'll start assembling the cake. So I always use cardboard when I'm decorating cakes. It just makes it a lot easier to decorate, to move around, transport in the end. But while I'm decorating, I don't want this to move. So I'm gonna put some tape in the middle of my turntable. Just center it, doesn't need to be super center. Center it the best that I can. And then I'm gonna put some icing to make the first cake layer stick, and we will get decorating. So with an offset spatula, I go ahead and add some of my frosting to the middle, just so that my cake sticks. And for the bottom layer, I'm gonna use the part of the cake that was actually in the pan, just so that we make sure we have a super level base for the cake. There we go, okay. Now I'm gonna spread a layer, just a really light layer of this frosting on the top before I put my jam on. I don't think it's super necessary in this cake, just because there's sort of almost like a brownie crust on the top of these layers. But typically I do this so that the jam doesn't just immediately absorb into the cake. If you have a really porous cake, that might happen. But okay, now let me get the jam. Okay, so here's our jam. Should be a good amount. I want to make sure it gets all the way around. I don't want it to ooze out on the sides, but this jam's pretty set, so I'm not too worried about that. Amazing, okay. Now for my next layer, and I'm just gonna do the exact same thing. Stack, frosting, and jam. Hi, Atticus. Okay, so we have both the layers stacked. You can tell this cake is just very delicate. Not something that I'm loving. I typically don't find this to happen in the other chocolate cake recipes I've used. It's very crumbly, but we're just gonna go ahead and stack that top layer and then do a crumb coat. Okay, so we have a decent crumb coat. I'm not worried about the jam poking through. Obviously, it's a little messy down here. We'll clean all that up. I'm gonna pop this in the fridge for a couple minutes to firm up, and then we'll do the top layer of icing. So you can see here the real issues that these chunks of chocolate were giving me. Like when I was trying to smooth it, they were making lines. So overall, it was just a bit frustrating. So for the final layer, I ran my bench scraper under boiling water just from the kettle. That really helped me smooth it out. You can see how shiny it's getting because it sort of melted the outside layer of the frosting. So that worked really well. And then I just hand placed a bunch of sprinkles around the end. I was very specific, wanted to make sure it was just on the outer portion. And that's it. Okay guys, here is the final product. I think it turned out really well. Excited to cut into it tonight. I will let you know how it goes. I'll add some footage from tonight. So yeah, I think it turned out great. I am a little picky, so I don't love those specks of chocolate, but it was a big hit. We had a great time at the birthday party. We went to a rooftop in SF and had a lot of fun. Hey guys, so wanted to wrap up this video and sort of give my final review of the recipe I made. Overall, really good cake, success. However, I will say it's not as good as Ina Garten's Aunt Beatty's chocolate cake. I found this cake to be a bit crumbly. I think dry would be a strong word, but it was not as moist as Ina's, and it sort of formed a brownie crust on top of the layers, which if you're looking, sorry, Atticus is moaning. Are you okay? You okay? Come here. Oh. Good morning. So if you're looking for more of a brownie-like cake, it would work, but I won't be using this chocolate cake recipe again. The frosting was really good. Technically very challenging, as I knew before going in. I'm a big fan of Swiss meringue buttercream. That's usually what I use. This was French buttercream. It was very difficult to keep the chocolate liquid but not hot so it would melt the butter. I think I would try it again, but definitely if I'm looking for automatic success or I'm more pressed on time, a Swiss meringue buttercream would be my go-to, even though that's already not a super simple buttercream to make. And yeah, then the passion fruit center didn't turn out. I think I would try out some different markets, maybe not traditional grocery stores, to find passion fruits, whether fresh or frozen. Overall, the cake was really good though. The buttercream was super silky, which I liked. And yeah, that was my review. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.